I challenge you to do 100 cold approaches. If you're a guy who wants to have any sort of success with girls, one of the best things you can do is break down any sort of self limiting beliefs that you have. When I was younger, about 3 years ago and beyond, I was the most insecure, shy kid you would ever imagine. If I went up to a girl, I would get red in the face. I actually remember when I was 15 years old, my cousin and I went to Panama City Beach in Florida. I lived in New York at the time. And we went down there, and he was older, and he was like, let's talk to some girls. Let's break you out of your shell. He was trying to help me out socially because he knew I was so shy and insecure. And we went up to girls, and I would just get like red in the face, or I would just like not say anything, and I would just kind of like bail on the situation, or he would literally sometimes have to drag me over to the girls. And that's my starting point as to where I was when I was younger. These are the sort of self limiting beliefs and views that I had on myself when it came to socializing and and especially talking to girls. I mean, I could maybe talk to some guys, but I was still pretty bad socially. And then fast forward, after my breakup about 3+ years ago, one of the things I started doing was cold approaching, because the biggest thing that you can do is break down those self-limiting beliefs and realize how much opportunity there and potential there is in this world, how friendly people truly are. But the thing is that you're not going to experience any of that if you don't start, and you're not going to accept those beliefs if you don't actually experience it for yourself. So one of the best things you can do is actually just go out there and cold approach 100 girls. You don't have to count it, and you don't have to be autistic with it, but think of it like every single spot that you go to where there are girls, if you see someone that you find attractive, you should go and talk to them. It's that simple. So for example, when I went back to Florida after my breakup, the places where I would see girls was either the beach, the gym, or bars and clubs. And all those three places, I would always talk to a girl if I found them attractive. So what came out of it? Not too much, honestly. There was only, so here's the thing. In the gym, see, this is actually an interesting point, is that even though not every single girl, like a lot of guys probably have the conception that they like want to sleep with all these girls. But the thing is, not all these girls I slept with, and most of the ones that I cold approached in places that weren't bars and clubs, I honestly didn't even sleep with them. But here's the thing, is that some of those people actually became my friends. So those girls that I cold approached, I became friends with. And when I went to the gym, I would give them a hug and they'd say, hi, how you doing? And we'd have a little small talk. And it was very like heartwarming. It was my first experience getting social for real, and meeting new people, and seeing how the world can, how much potential there is in the world. When you come across as someone who is confident, and you really put yourself out there, even if you're scared to do these things, that's where courage and bravery comes in. And as long as you just a normal person when you speak to them, like for example, I'll give you my three things that I say. I keep it very basic, and it doesn't need to be anything crazy. You start off with just asking their name. Then I usually just ask if they're from the area. And then, yeah, I mean, if you want to ask maybe like if they're doing work, if they're working or in school, maybe if if you're like in the gym, for example, you can ask them what they're training today and keep the conversation going. And one of the things you should always keep in mind is the level of reciprocation that is going into this conversation. If someone says, for example, let's just do a little like role play for a conversation. If you say, hey, excuse me, what's your name? Jessica. And then that's it. And you say, okay, like you need to realize, okay, Jessica, she didn't say, oh, what's your name, right? Because one of the girls, I'll give you an example from one of the ones I met in the gym. She was the most bubbly, fun girl I've talked to. And I was like, this was still when I was breaking out of my shell. So I was nervous to actually talk to her. And I was like, excuse me, what's your name? And she said her name, and she was like, hey, what's your name? And I was like, Sebastian. I was like, it's great to meet you. She's like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And I was like, where are you from? And then we talked, and she was like, I'm living here, but I'm from South America originally. And we're just chatting. I told her I came from Sweden. And then we became friends, and like we would see each other at the gym. If we were far away, we'd just wave and smile. But if we came into like near proximity, we would have a little conversation, and we'd sometimes hit some sets together. And this is the world that opened up to me, all because I put myself out there. And this was one of the hottest girls that I've seen at that gym. I talked to her because it broke down so many self-limiting beliefs. Every single girl that you speak to will break down a belief of yours. Even if the conversation doesn't go perfect. Like for example, there's a ton of girls that I talked to, and they were like, oh, I'm actually married. I remember this happened in that phase when I was talking to like all those girls at that gym. One of them was like, "Oh, I'm married," or one of them said, "Oh, I have a boyfriend." But I was still proud of myself, and it ended there. And I was still proud of myself for going up and talking to them. And one more thing I want to touch on is know when to walk away with that whole level of reciprocation. You don't want to keep pursuing someone who's not interested in talking to you. There's no point in doing that. Have some self-respect. You should be proud of yourself for going up and doing the actual act itself, going up and introducing yourself. Where it goes from there does not matter. At this point, you won. If you did that step, if you went up and introduced yourself to someone, especially like the prettiest girl you've seen, what happens from here, it does not matter. I want you to be proud of yourself for actually just doing that act. Because after 100 times, you're going to have so many great conversations, and you're also going to be getting better and better and better. If you're working on developing your communication like I am, I'm actually paying a mentor right now. I paid over $5,000 at this point to develop high-level communication and sales skills. Taking consideration I am in sales and that is the whole business that I run, but I'm always trying to improve these aspects and get better socially. This is only going to allow you to improve yourself. The only way to actually get better is to try and do more of what it is that you're bad at. So keep in mind the level of reciprocation. Don't push a conversation further than it should go. But even if you're just talking to a couple girls and now all of a sudden you have friends in the gym and you can actually give some people a hug and you can be friendly and talk to girls on a regular basis, wouldn't that reality be so much better than the one you are in now where you don't talk to people? And it's like, especially if you move to a new city, you don't have any of your old high school friends. You need to go out there and meet new people and talk to people and just be social. It's really not that hard. And the reason why I want you to do 100 cold approaches is because if you can approach the hottest girls, you can approach anybody. And now after years of doing this, after I must have done like 100 in that first phase where I started doing cold approaches. And then after that, it just became habit where I just talked to a pretty girl when I saw one. And this is what I want for you in life, is because when you just start talking to pretty girls wherever you see them, there's no negative thoughts, no self-limiting beliefs that come in your head when this happens or when you see a girl. You're just going to start talking to girls, and before you know it, you're going to have relationships with some of the prettiest girls that you've ever met, as I have. So it all starts with the basics. You got to get over this initial phase. You got to build yourself up. These are all skills in one way, shape, or form. Having the confidence to go and talk to people is a skill, and you need to develop that skill. Everything in life is a skill. So you need to start developing all these different skills, and then all of a sudden, as you become more proficient in these skills and better at so many different things, because you're going to be a man who's an excellent man of self-improvement like I am, now all of a sudden, your life is going to start reflecting that. So it all starts with learning these basics. So if you're someone who wants to have an amazing relationship with a beautiful girl who actually is a genuine good person, you need to start by talking to a lot of girls. Otherwise, you're never going to, one, be able to identify who's a good girl and who's not. And you're probably going to end up in some bad relationship, as I have in the past. Or you're just going to be too shy to ever break out of your shell and actually talk to someone, because you are in charge of creating your reality. It's not just going to happen for you. No one else is going to go out and introduce you to all the girls that you want to talk to. It's just not going to happen. You have to make it happen for yourself. And this is the first step you need to take, is just to start getting comfortable talking to all the hot girls that you see. And if you do this, I promise you, your life will start getting better, especially, like I was saying, if you're a man on self-improvement. If you're improving yourself in every way, shape, or form, your life is just going to start getting better and better and better. I can't think of any other way to tell you, but this is what you need to do. If it hasn't become clear at this point, and if you're not going to do it, then you need to start watching some of my other videos and developing your mindset and getting better and getting on self-improvement, because soon you will start getting to the place where you are ready to do 100 cold approaches. I've heard people say that they're scared and they're this and they're that on another video I made, but you have to realize that we only live once. Even the people like Elon Musk, who are like worldwide known, of our entire generation and many generations, is going to make an impact. He will be forgotten about in hundreds of thousands of years, and he will not be remembered. What you do is not significant. So going up and talking to a girl, she's gonna forget about it in 5 seconds, and the only place that this is gonna live is within your own mind. So if you turn it into a win by just going up and talking to her, even if it was a bad interaction, you're gonna have a positive outcome. Everything in life is neutral. You determine whether it's a positive or a negative, and that's completely up to you. So I want you to start labeling all the cold approaches you do as a positive, no matter what the outcome was. And this is the way that you're gonna win, and this is the way that you're gonna stay consistent with this long term and start having the success that you want. All right, so if this video provides you with any value, if it's gonna get you over the edge to actually start talking to girls and pursuing the life of your dreams, then I want you to like and subscribe, because I'm gonna be dropping so many tips and tricks on this channel, teaching you about everything you need to know in order to self-develop and become the best version of yourself. And I want you to comment down below if you are gonna start doing cold approaches and if you're gonna do 100 of them. Do you accept my challenge? All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.